afternoon, everyone. Debbie, darling, your tree is fabulous. And I've got a little tree story, and I'm not bitter, you understand. My daughter got the most amazing tree, and she brought it home. It's about 6 foot, and we tried to, if I can use the word, erect it. And for whatever reason, it didn't work. We've got 2 new bases, still didn't work. And then I realised the reality is it's a 2020 tree. It looks like a tree on the piss. It's like this, even though it's put up straight in its base, it bends halfway through. And I thought you couldn't have a better tree for 2020. A tree on the piss.
Very, very good, darling.
Is it up yet, Harriet, as the actress said to the bishop?
Can you tell from the way I'm sitting or not? No. Okay. She is up. Yeah, she is up in all her glory, but she's not yet dressed. So I can't show you to her yet.
Oh, no,
wait,
no.
I've dressed mine. And I've come out of the closet. You'd be glad to notice.
Yeah, about time, darling.
It
looks lovely.
I've got to tell you about this. I was reading today about this lovely little doggy. Well, not a little doggy. He was a failed sniffer dog, actually. He was supposed to be going into the drug squad, but he actually was a brilliant sniffer dog, but he was too friendly with all the public. So they decided for the first time, and he's the only dog in the police force to do this, that he's now a police therapy dog. And he goes around all the police stations and he speaks, well, he lets all the police officers.
Everybody.
Yes.
He lectures, apparently.
And he actually does an awful lot for mental health. So he's the first police therapy dog. Isn't that gorgeous?
That's a divine story.
That's marvellous. That really is fabulous.
Sherry, are you all right?
Well, I've been in bed all weekend. I was going to say with a toy boy, but it's not a toy boy. What's it called? A hot toddy, not a toy boy. I've got them mixed up.
An easy mistake, darling.
An easy mistake to make.
Yeah.
And just with, that kind of, it's winter fluey. Don't get me wrong, I still got my taste. I can smell. I haven't got a bad cough, so don't worry about that.
And no temperature.
It's not that thing. It's just, what everybody's getting now, which is a cold. And, my little baby granddaughter's got a cold, so I'm guessing I've got it from her. But I think, the fear with people now is that if you get a cold like this, you immediately get frightened.
Of course.
And particularly at a certain age, you think, oh my God, is that me? Have I got it? Oh, I must rush to, and of course you can't rush to a doctor or anything like that, because with this, I wouldn't be allowed to go to the surgery, and I wouldn't go anyway because I've just got a blooming cold. But I think what people out there get frightened of is that if you get this, which is on the chest and the usual thing you get at this time of year, people are confused because they don't know whether it's going towards COVID or whether, and it isn't. It's just a cold,
Yeah.
And with a hot toddy and a bit of rest and sleep, which I think is the main thing, it'll be gone by Monday. It's just Monday, isn't it? Tuesday.
Yes,
Tuesday.
How many hot toddies have you had, Sherry? How many hot toddies have you had this morning?
Enough.
This afternoon, all day.
I think you should take lots of vitamin D. I mean, we've been told this now, and they also say that it's very good against COVID, vitamin D as well. So the vitamin D spray, which just goes straight into your system, which you can buy on Amazon, which is 3,000, whatever it is, milligrams or kilograms or whatever it is. But that vitamin D spray. Also, I take a lot of vitamin C every day as well, which they also say is very good. So you need at least 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day with zinc. And I think that you should I take it all year round. I don't take it just in the winter. I take it in the winter. But the vitamin D is very important because there's no sunlight, and I know that Dee stays in sometimes for a few days when she's working so hard, and it's ridiculous. You don't see the light, and
I know.
by not seeing the light, that's how you get sick.
Are you in a cellar, darling?
I've seen the light.
Oh God!
Can I ask any of you? Do any of you have the flu jab?
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. I've had it because all the West End shows, when they're running, they give them to you when we're allowed to be in the theatre. And yes, I have it every year.
Yes,
I've never had it, and most of my friends have it every year.
Same here, Sherry.
And you two don't have it, Debbie?
Well, I've actually decided I'm not having it this year, but my family think I'm completely nuts, but I had it last year or the year before, and I was so ill afterwards. But it just made me feel really rough. But they think it's better for me to have it and not get the real flu than not to have it.
I have it every year. I've never felt rough. I don't even notice that I've had it. I think it just depends. Everybody experiences it differently.
I've never had it, and I'm not going to have it. So that's fine, but it's just how I am. I'm very lucky. I'm very healthy, and but I do take a lot of vitamins. But I don't like. I'm just one of these people that doesn't want to take it. And I don't want to have it.
But like you, Debbie, and Sherry, I felt really rough on Saturday actually, and then Debbie said to me, take this vitamin D, which I've ordered on Amazon. It comes the next day. So
I'll do that later on today then.
I think that's
after the show. Yeah.
Self-care is so important.
If you boost up on vitamin C and zinc, I mean, it's quite a common thing to do. You get them in Boots, vitamin C tablets with zinc, and you take them all the time. It just builds up, your immunity. It's very, very strange though, because when I don't take vitamin C tablets, because I probably take them 99% of the time, but if I've run out, I'm absolutely mad about oranges, apples, banana. I go mad for fruit. So interesting that it stops that, or perhaps it's psychological. Who knows?
I think it's so important that self-care is absolutely paramount. And they say, and I know we're busy and I often think, oh no, I'll do that for somebody else, but I won't do it for myself.
I know.
And they always say in the airlines, when the oxygen mask comes down, put it on yourself first, and then the child or the person next to you. And we have to do that in life. Put the oxygen mask of care onto yourself today, and then you're able to help the other people in your life. And often we forget that, and we're just busy doing everything else for everyone else.
And talking of flying, darling, talking of flying and fear of flying, we have a fantastic guest called Russ Kane, who was actually the roving reporter for Capital Radio with Chris Tarrant.
He was the flying eye.
He was
actually the flying eye.
Welcome to our nest, darling.
Hi,
Hello, Wonderbirds. Presumably, Dee Anderson, you're going to say anything can happen in the next half hour.
Oh, and it can.
Got to be done. Got to be done. Has to be
Anything can happen in the next half hour, Mr. Kane.
Thank you, phones.
Brace, as they say.
Brains.
It was every part of my childhood, that. I can't tell you. It was every part of my childhood, from when I was little, Four Feather Falls, which was just great.
You can't possibly remember that. You're not old enough to remember.
Who was
that.
the voice of Tex? All right, Thunderbirds, pop quiz. Who was the voice of Tex Tucker?
Oh,
come on. Who was the voice of Tex Tucker?
No.
Nicholas Parsons.
Nicholas
Parsons.
No.
Yes, wait.
Of course.
Nicholas Parsons plays the cowboy.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
The great Nicholas Parsons. Yeah, he was Tex Tucker.
You're going to have all sorts of things, aren't you? You're going to test us on now.
I am.
I should know. But
I am. Who is Debbie? Question 2. Who is Debbie Arnold and why?
Tex Tucker.
We ask that every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but
No. What is the point? What is the point?
Oh, darling, it's so lovely to see you.
It's lovely to see you. I'm very flattered. Thank you very much. It's a great honor.
We're highly honoured, darling. This is why I'm wearing my special
I'm the one who's
hat
on.
for you.
No, I don't have a life, so I'm
Can I just say before Dee asks the questions? I think you should explain your very large protuberance in front of you because it's taking over there.
I couldn't help it. I looked at Debbie. It was over. It's actually it's my professional microphone.
Fabulous. Thank you so much.
And it has, as Debbie would know, a little muff.
Oh, Muffy.
There we go. Little pop shield.
How lovely.
Little pop shield.
Hashtag quality all the way with the Wonderbird show.
Marvellous.
That's what I love.
Very funny.
Darling.
Yes.
We all know you, but apart from all the wonderful other things that you do, from the flying eye, and I know that because we've had this conversation before, but you're not a great fan of flying, are you?
I hate
one of those things where you fell into this amazing job, and you thought, oh, I'll have a go for a week or so, and then 20 years later, tell us about that.
I didn't want to do it. I had no intent. I don't like flying, and I hate mornings. And one of my oldest friends is Peter Suchet, as in David's brother. And by pure chance, Peter was the account director at Saatchi & Saatchi, and his account was Capital Radio. And one day in a very heavy meeting, they said, we need a new flying eye. You better go and find one. So he phones me up and says, would you do it? I said, well, the second word was off. It was a very short conversation. And he said, no, you really get me out of a jam. You get me out of a jam because, I can go back. At least I can try. So he gave me a number. And I said, well, they're never going to pick up the phone. Bloke picks up the phone straight away. And his name was David Briggs. He was the producer. What did David Briggs go on to do? Pop quiz number 2.
Wants to be a millionaire.
Correct. He created a show called Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, which he couldn't sell for toffee.
No.
Dragged it around for 2 years, and eventually Celador changed the name. It was called Cash Mountain. Anyway, that was David. And he said, well, can you come along? I did an audition. And they were being very polite to me in the back of the plane. And they go, you're right. And I thought, well, this is very unlike showbiz, because normally they couldn't give a toss, as we know. I thought, why are they being so nice? And I was just fascinated by the view. I'd never been in a small plane before. And what they were trying to do was make me sick. And they were throwing the thing around. But I'm so stupid, I didn't realize. And I was just enjoying the view. So then I did an audition in the studio with Graham Dean, who was doing the breakfast show at the time. And they said, we'll phone you in a week. And I thought, well, really, I don't care because I don't want the job. And the same day, he said, we'd like to offer you the job. And I said, can I think about it? There was a stunned silence because I then found out subsequently 500 people had auditioned, 500. And the ones who could speak were violently sick. And the ones who weren't sick were completely inarticulate. And I thought about it for the weekend, and I phoned him back and I said, this is what we're going to do, David. I'll do it for 2 weeks. If it doesn't work out, no harm done. And if it works out, okay, but I don't want to do it for 2 weeks. The 2 weeks lasted 20 years. And that's the truth.
Wow.
That's the truth.
Did you get used to flying at all or not?
Yeah, I got completely used to it. It was physically uncomfortable. It really was. It was physically uncomfortable and very, very rough, very turbulent. The worst thing was we had passengers every single day. At one point, at the height of its popularity, we had an 18-month waiting list to come up in the plane. 18 months.
Wow.
Because every charity in the world wanted it for their charity ball and their auction and their raffle. And people were paying fortune. I think the most somebody paid in the 90s, 14,000 just to come up.
Wow.
I don't even know what that's worth now. It's like 30 grand now, I suppose.
Yes.
But the worst thing was we had these passengers and they were all violently sick.
Did you provide them with sick bags as you took
We wouldn't
off?
take off without, we actually, Harriet, would not take off without them because it was disgusting. Which is why I got into my habit of always wearing a hell of a lot of aftershave because you'd want to.
Projectile.
So I would always be like,
Projectile vomiting down the back.
Now, darling, last year, was it last year or was it the year before? I came to see you doing your one-man show that you
It was
took
last year, which only feels like several centuries ago, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you were sort of you did it in Edinburgh, you did it in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
How did this come to fruition?
Well, I never plan anything because then your life just gets screwed up. So I've got friends who run the German Street Theatre, and I'm sure you're all very familiar with it. And Penny Horner, who's the executive, I've known them forever and ever and ever. And oddly enough, they're my business partners in the radio stations. And one day I just popped in to see Penny for a cup of tea. As she does. I happened to be in Piccadilly. And so I popped into German Street to see her and just annoy her, as we always do. And an actor came in full sort of Regency soldiers, the boots and the breeches, and it was all like that. It was really actor-y. And I'm just going to go through my lines, Penny. And so I'm like, and I said, yeah. And as a joke, I said to Penny, I can't wait for my one-man show as a gag. She stood up, got to her schedule board with her Sharpie pen and said, that's when you're doing it. I said, no, pen, it was a joke. I was kidding. She said, no, you're doing it. It's about bloody time. And that was it. It was all because of her.
Wow.
Yeah, I wrote a show. It's like a 1.5 hour show. And it went well, to my amazement. It kept selling out. And then I took it to Los Angeles. And people said, how do you do it? I said, well, I just got on the phone and I bugged people. I hired a theater, took a risk, hired a theater in Santa Monica. sold out the whole weekend. And then I thought, what's the next scary thing? I know what I've never done, never even been to, know nothing about the Edinburgh Fringe. Right? So I take a venue in the Edinburgh Fringe, and they said, well, we'll be sending you like a little leaflet about it. I know nothing about the Edinburgh Fringe, like a moron that I am. I'm expecting a pamphlet like your local Indian takeaway, you know, a couple of sides. This book arrives. The Edinburgh Fringe, there's 3,000 acts.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, shit. And I'm just looking at this huge telephone directory. And I thought, what have I done? Anyway, it was okay. I enjoyed it hugely, but you know, just take risks.
Do you not have any fear at all?
Oh yeah, I have complete fear. I just think I stand in the wings. I go, what?
Why?
Hell are you doing?
I know
What
that
are you
feeling well.
doing, you moron?
Moron.
I every time before every show, I'm like, if I could run now,
Yeah.
I would run.
I could be at home. Why am I doing this?
Why the hell am I putting myself through this? It's awful. And then you get out there and, you know, and you start to have fun and you get the first reaction. You guys know much more than I do. You know, I'm an amateur at it, really. And then it's just, and it's fun, you know, like the American audience, the Californian audience is so different from a British audience.
Yes.
Totally different. I rewrite the show and some of the gags they're killing themselves over, other than you have to actually explain, which makes me laugh even more.
Do you get that moment with Americans when it goes?
Yeah, I do a gag about social media where people cull people on their, you know, I'm having a cull tonight. And of course the Americans talk to you the whole time. They think it's a conversation. It's amazing. And they go, what? I said, cull. I had to spend 10 minutes on the word, and I'm spelling the word. I'm thinking, how bloody complicated can the word cull? It's 4 letters, for Christ's sake. And I said, right, you know, when you had hordes of buffalo and they went, yeah, and you shot them, yeah, that's a cull. Oh!
That's like, brilliant. That's brilliant.
It just amuses me, to be honest with you. It just
so, Russ, tell me about writing books, because, you know, in this lockdown, the world and his wife have written books, but you've written books for quite a long time, haven't you? Yes. When did you first write your first book? Was 2000, 2001, 2002. It's called Shout at the Moon, which was it was a section of autobiography of myself and my late wife. We started writing it together, and as ever had the most explosive rows, so we wrote it separately. No.
Oh, we couldn't write together. It was impossible. That did okay. That came out in hardback and then paperback, and it's nice. I still get a lot of comments about that book, which is sweet. And then I wrote a book which came out. You know, everything seems so long ago, but it was last year. It is. Called The Gatekeeper, which was a supernatural sort of horror thing, and that did good. I am a year behind with book 2. So if you're feeling,
why are you a year behind?
Lockdown.
You can't.
Absolutely can't write. Cannot. My head.
Lockdown.
Sherry, my head's turned to pizza. I can't.
That's
do it.
not no. Get yourself to your computer. Get on with it. Now you've been told.
I've been told. You've been told, darling. In your face. I'm up to chapter 5. It's all mapped out. I just can't be.
No, you have to get
it from my head onto the.
Chair.
You know.
You have to get yourself together.
It's very easy to get things done when you're very busy.
That is very true, actually.
Yeah, it's very true. Actually,
it's hard. Well, that's the old saying. If you want something done, ask a busy person.
Yeah. True. Russ, can I ask you?
One of my mum's favourite sayings.
Is it? Can I ask you a little bit about your youth, and did you understand your instinct and your talents when you were that young? What kind of precipitated you moving into any of the things that you've done? Do you remember?
I only ever wanted to be a writer. I never wanted to be anything else.
Wow.
And that's come to fruition.
From the earliest age. And my dad was a timber importer. So as a kid, I'd always be hanging around the film studios and the TV studios because he was going to flog timber. I had no interest in the arts whatsoever. I was just fascinated by it. And I think I was at MGM or Pinewood, and they said, "Would you like a little souvenir, little Russell?" I said, "Yes, please. Can I have a script?" They thought I was joking. They thought I wanted a toy, a prop gun or something. And I didn't give a damn about that. I wanted the script. And I just would devour these scripts. And if I could get a script as a little kid and watch TV with the script, I thought this was the greatest thing ever. I managed to get, and I've lost the very last script of The Prisoner, for example.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know. How stupid am I? Along with my Beatles program from their concert. Anyway, stuff gets lost. What can you do?
Tell me about your radio show now for men, and it started in 2019. Again, that's everything kind of is run by men anyway, from a woman's point of view often, but this is a very important men's radio station. And yet in the last year, how it's evolved, tell me what's foremost in its sort of expression from men at the moment about how they're coping.
I'll wind it back a little bit so you won't think so badly of me. We started with women's radio station in January 2018.
Oh, how amazing.
We didn't have a men's station. So we started with women's radio, which has gone very well. And then one day, as I said, these things are all accidents. One day I'm doing the newspaper review for the BBC. And the top story, by pure chance, it could have been anything at all, Harriet. It happened to be the suicide statistics in the United Kingdom. They've been published that particular day. And I'm doing the review at 3:00 in the morning, literally 3:00. And I looked at it and it said 80% men, 20% women. I thought, this is diabolical. There's a chasm here. This is shocking. And the main thing, and I read all these articles, and the main thing is that men won't talk. Women, as we've just demonstrated in the last 15 minutes, are much better at talking. They will go out with their mates. They'll go out with their mates and have a cheeky drink or a coffee, and you'll and Dee will say, "Harriet, how are you?" And you'll go, "Woof, woof," and it'll all come out. And blokes go out, they go, "How are you?" And I go, "Well, I'm a bit upset because Spurs lost," or something like that. I gave the subtext, the strapline of where men really talk. So we started that a year after women's radio station. And then when the pandemic started, we had to get rid of the studio, obviously, because it was much too unhygienic and dangerous and locked down. And it was time to either quit or double down. And I like to double down. So I doubled down on everything. And it's gone off like a rocket, because I thought if anybody needed help, and we concentrate only on mental health and well-being, that's it. Mental health and well-being, 24 hours a day, non-stop. And it's been extraordinary, and then we started to win some awards. It was clear to me that apart from the economic disaster of lockdown, which is going to take decades to recover from, if we fully do, mental health and domestic violence was going to go through the roof. You didn't need to be a genius to see that. You cannot put people into pressure cooker situations like this and not expect side effects. And those are going to be the two biggest side effects. And I wanted to prepare for that.
It's so amazing and important that men now have this specific voice, because culturally, as you so rightly said, they don't speak. And yet now they have a sort of place, a safe place.
It's a stigma. It's a stigma, Harriet. It's seen as a sign of weakness. Big boys don't cry, and grow a pair, old man up, and all these things. And you bottle it up. And we've had hundreds and hundreds of guests, and it's the people who have attempted suicide. When you're sitting opposite them and you have a whole conversation with them, and you come out of it, you're drained, and you just thank heavens it's they didn't succeed.
But so important to share it so people don't feel alone. And that's
because people think it's only them feeling it. Now, every case is individual, obviously, but they think it is only them who feel so awful or such a failure or can't, all of these things. And it's not. It's universal. We talk about the imposter syndrome. So many people have that. You're waiting for the tap on the shoulder, and it's just you. I wait for it all the time. Obviously, why not? But one of my best friends is a hugely successful film producer, Hollywood, the whole thing, and we were just laughing about over coffee, and that's just one aspect. So if we can remove the stigma about mental health, then you can start to do something.
And
good
also, Russ, it
about
should start very young too, in the young boys, you know, as
you
young as
could
possible.
not be
Yeah.
more right, because one of the things that we deal with, and it comes out in so many forms, and it's awful, is bullying. And
Yes.
when we were young, if you were bullied at school, you would get to the school gates and you'd go home and have a jam sandwich and watch the Flintstones, and the bullying was be over. With social media,
Yeah.
bullying is 24/7.
Yeah.
And we had a guest on the other week, and she said, well, when I was 11, they found me hanging in the toilets at school. And I went, what, hanging around? She went, no, hanging. And the dinner lady, yeah, I mean, this is what we're dealing with. The dinner lady came in, just happened to find her, otherwise she'd be dead. So
Oh,
the bullying, you've got bullying at school, and girls are appalling. It's
Really
I
are.
know the girls
Yeah.
are worse, because if you say to a guy, well, you're ugly, he goes, who gives a shit, you know. But these girls, oh, you're ugly, you're this, you're not in the gang.
Always been like that.
Yeah.
Always been
But
like
it-
that.
Do you
Good
know,
girls.
I
Horrible.
experienced the other day, driving along by my local comprehensive school, two girls fighting horrifically in the street. They fell into the road. I shouted at them to stop them, somebody stop them. And eventually 2 guys came and pulled them apart. It was the most shocking thing I've seen. And as you say, and one girl said, you started bullying me again. And again,
Yeah.
it's the most horrific reality
Awful.
that it is
It's
constant.
awful.
But you having
Yeah.
a voice now for men is the most important thing.
Yeah,
And-
the
and this-
cyberbullying. I'm
yes.
the ambassador of the National Bullying Helpline.
Mm.
And
Are you?
last week
Yeah.
we had, I was telling the girls, because it was National Bullying Week last week, anti-bullying week.
Right.
And
Yes,
last week,
yes, that's
Christine,
right.
who runs the helpline, said that they were getting 500 calls an hour.
No.
An
An
hour?
An hour.
Accelerated in lockdown,
It's
As well.
just
Completely.
gone crazy. And
especially with cyberbullying.
And so we must say again to our viewers, I was going to say readers, watchers, who are we?
Readers Digest.
Readers,
Humour is the best
The
medicine.
National Bullying Helpline does have things that you can download. There's somewhere to go to. There's some help, but the National Bullying Helpline is there if you need any advice at all. So it's very important.
can I just say something to you, Russ? You've just been saying how important writing is to you.
Mm.
So get off your bloody arse and get on with your other book, for God's sake.
We want to see
And on
your
that
next
happy
book.
note, I'm going to call Matron now. I'm
Right.
going to call Matron and get security one back. What I want you to do now, please, is promise that you'll come back and see us again soon.
I
And
would
thank
be
you so,
delighted
so
and
much.
honoured. Thank you so much. It's been
You've been amazing and so
absolute
wonderful to
pleasure.
have that voice for men.
Bye,
Thank you.
darling. And
Bless
get
you.
Russ.
Bye, everybody.
Russ.
Get off your
Bye-bye.
ass, Russ. Get off your ass.
Wonderbirds.
I'll go. Woo!
I think, Sherry, we should have T-shirts. Get off your ass, Russ.
Get off
When
your
he
ass.
comes. I think that's what we need to do.
Oh, that was brilliant, Sherry.
That's
That
so
was
fantastic.
Brilliant.
And you're so right. You're so right.
Yeah,
No,
absolutely.
you can't
We all
complain
need
in
that from
lockdown.
Sherry, don't we? We all need that from Sherry. A bit of a
Absolutely.
You know,
You've got to.
yeah.
Lockdown
No,
is
we-
no excuse for being lazy, is it? We're not
No.
going anywhere. We're not doing anything.
But that's why we're here. Because we
Exactly.
did. Well, we sat down on our asses to do this. Thank goodness.
And we did.
Absolutely.
Just a nice little rest. But isn't that great about Russ? And you know, I met Russ because he's a great Thunderbirds fan. And
I know.
yeah, and it was like, you know, he's a slightly more mature male, and I have to say that it spans so many generations, Thunderbirds, that I'm very proud to say that, in fact, I've just had an email from Pip, who's the mum to 2 little boys of 5 and 4, Eric and Timmy, who
Hi,
are
Eric and
also, hi, Eric and Timmy. Hi, and they're also massive Thunderbirds fans as well.
Yeah.
So all those,
Oh, how
decades
brilliant.
and decades. So that, you know, nearly 60 years ago, and now today we've got Eric and Timmy. Isn't that
Yay.
wonderful?
Fabulous.
Wednesday, we've got the wonderful Andrew Barton back to talk about hair.
And we've got the fabulous Samantha Giles, who
Yes.
I adore. She's fantastic with her new book.
Yay!
Fabulous.
Great. Well, Sherry, I will send you all the stuff that you need.
Yes,
Vitamin C,
please
vitamin
do.
D.
Yeah.
Yes, so you'll feel better with Debbie's powers of vitamins.
Okay,
coming
thank
from.
you.
Healing powers.
And have lots more hot toddies, darling, till you pass out. There we go.
Or toy
Yes,
boys, as I call them.
Yes. See you
girls.
Wednesday.
Love you.